Hey, I'm Jimmy and welcome to Taking Trades. This is my YouTube channel that's dedicated to day trading where I show my trades live and try to break them down for you each day. And there's no subscription fee, there are no courses to buy, just sharing information. So I wanted to dive into today. Today is January 16th, 2019, and it was my first red day of January, and so my first red day of 2019. But it's not bad. I was down, I think I finished the day down $39. So I want to go ahead and show you guys a couple trades. I think I overtraded today, and that was ultimately my biggest problem. And I was kind of questioning a few things, and I'll explain that in the video. But I do want to show you two trades. I want to show you a loser, and I want to show you a winner. And I want to talk about what I did wrong in the loser, and then what I did right in the winner. So, and how important it is to manage your risk, because if you manage your risk correctly, one winner can outpace three losers or four losers. You just got to make sure that you're managing the downside right and that you're letting your winners run. One thing that, a saying I've heard that's really resonated with me in the last few months is that newer traders tend to hold their losers too long and cut their winners too short. And that totally makes sense in some of the scenarios I've had recently. So let's go ahead and dive into the trades. I'm going to show you the loser first. We'll talk about what I did wrong, and then we'll jump into the winner, and I'll show you what I did right. Let's jump in. Okay, let's jump in here. So to start things off, I wanted to show you a trade that I took today on UGAZ. And I actually missed the entry when I started recording, so again, I apologize for that. So in the pre-market hours for UGAZ, and as well for /NG, which is the natural gas fund that it tracks, it started moving up, and it was trading in between the middle VWAP band, which is this purple line, and the 15 moving average, which is the white line. So you can see it sort of bouncing back and forth, back and forth. So when it came down and it bounced here, and then the market opened, I went ahead and jumped in right there. I took 50 shares, and as I start to let this play out, it started to push up a little bit, pulled back, got real, just stalled out, and wasn't pushing up, and then ultimately pops down, and I got out for a loss. But here's the problem with this trade. This is the trade where I went wrong. I saw this moving up. It's above the 15 EMA, so things are good. But the minute it breaks down below that and sets a lower low than these two wicks on these red candles, that should have been my indication to get out. Holding beyond that is a complete mistake. So I'm switching over here to the 1-minute chart. We were just previously looking at the 5-minute chart, but you're seeing how it's kind of pushing up a little bit, not doing anything major. Up, down, up, down. I'm down a little bit, up a little bit, getting kind of nervous here. And then you can see that it just pops down, and it ends up getting too wild and just feeling really heavy, like it wants to go. I had that feeling. I was looking at my P&L. I'm down $25, $18, right in there. And here it is, just riding that 15 EMA. And then once it breaks that 15, and it's sort of down around the middle VWAP, it just should have been my indication. I just should have cut my losses, and I didn't. And then as we progress here, you'll see where it's starting to break below, and that right there, that break should have been my indication that, you know, this isn't the trade I want to be in. I need to manage my risk, because the minute you start thinking, is this a good trade? Should I stay in it? You're just giving it time to work against you. And you know, this $38 loss can turn into a $100 loss like that really, really quickly. So knowing where you want to get out is huge. And I don't know why I held it. I was bag holding on this, and when I play some more of the video, you can see I'm holding, I think I'm just hoping that I get a bounce up and hoping and hoping and hoping. And then it ends up plunging further, and now I'm down 52, 55. So I keep hoping. Now I'm down 65. So you can see the mistake I'm making. Classic mistake. Don't do this. Look at this lower low. Like, this was the bottom for me. It's clearly past that, and I'm still holding the position. So my thought of pull back and go didn't work. So when it's confirmed to me that it didn't work, just get out of the trade. And here you can see I cut it right there. So that was my first trade. I'm down $68.65. You know, bad way to start the day. I was really feeling good that this was just going to curl, bounce off the 15, and then head higher. And it just didn't end up that way. So when it goes against you, cut the loss, move on to the next trade. But now, psychologically, I'm looking at this going, oh, it's double what it would have been if I'd have just gotten out when it was appropriate. And one tip that I can give you guys for managing this, and you'll see this in my next trade, the winner that I take, is it helps me to identify this level. So say I'm like, okay, it's $63.32, for example. Just set a stop. Set a hard stop below it so that if it does crack on you, you don't even have a decision to make. It just stops you out because you have a hard stop in place. So let's go to the next one. And I'll give you an example here of a trade that I took on MU, which is Micron Technology. It's a large cap stock that I like to trade. It's been productive for me in the past. But what I'm looking for on this one is Micron has been downtrending for a while, even on the larger time frame. So I know my direction. We talked about that yesterday as a tip. I knew my direction. So as it sold off, I was waiting for a pullback, and I had an overhead resistance line. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and take a small position as it pushes up. Then if it pushes up again, I'll double my shares, and then we'll hopefully see it roll over and go lower. So that was sort of the intention. And you can see it pushes up. I get in for 250 shares at 33.73. And then I just kind of sit and wait for a minute. If it wants to roll right away, great. I've got some skin in the game. I have 250 shares. But if it wants to push up closer to this 15 moving average and this overhead resistance, great. I'll add to my position because it's still within, you know, the confines of what I want it to do. It's still a lower high here compared to this high. So it starts to push up. And in this position, I have more comfort because I know that if it does pop on me, it's not necessarily a panic, get out of the trade scenario. It's just add to your position. You're still within a lower high, and then we can see it hopefully go lower. So it pushes up to 33.76, 77. And I think here in a second, you're going to see me add to my position. And then I'll ultimately have 500 shares working short 500 shares. And my hope once I add this 250 shares is to then try to crack this low, which is 33.61. It was moving a little slow. The volume got a little light in here, but ultimately it starts to push up again. And this overhead support level I just established from a few points that it had touched along the way. So it just kind of was proving to be a significant point where it was bouncing. The more times a stock bounces off a support level, the more powerful it is. So I was sort of convinced that this was a good point until it broke down. Once I saw it break down and set this lower low, I was just waiting for a pullback so that I could get in to go short. So a few more candles coming out. still hovering at 76. You can see me over here. I'm getting ready to add to my position. And it pushes down, and so, I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead and go lower. 250 shares short. I'll just kind of let it ride. But then it pushes back up. And there you can see as it pushes up there, I added 76. And now I'm in 500 short. So I ended up holding this trade for quite a while. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of move forward here to show you it kind of play out. So it pushes up, starts to pull down, all the while maintaining that overhead support. This is the 5-minute chart I switched over to, just checking a larger time frame. Back to the 1 minute. So it breaks down, and I've got this additional support level that I'm watching, and I've got this low of the day. And that's going to be real critical as we progress the video here and I show you. So we keep moving along. And you can see it break, so that's a good sign. It breaks, pushes back up, tests the level. And I decided at this point, I had a little bit of profit, so I went ahead and put out a 250 share order in case it pushed against me. This is an example of what I was talking about earlier with just placing a hard stop. So I went ahead and placed this overhead so that if it did pop against me, I wouldn't have to think about anything. I would just be stopped out. There would be no bag holding to the wrong direction and debating should I get out or not. So this was the first thing I did right today. This was actually a good thing. And as I progress along, it pushes down again and then back up, and we're just kind of rolling around here. And so in here, this was really critical because what I wanted to do was I wanted to see this level break because it was getting close to the 61 and actually pushed down to 62. If it would have broken down below 33.61, it likely would have popped and dropped quickly, and that would have been a great indication to stay in the trade. And I do apologize because editing the video, in the one drop down, I did cover 250 shares. So my thought was let it drop, cover 250 shares, so I do have some profit. So I did take profit. You can see that I did take profit here. And then I was going to let the final 250 shares just keep riding down and hopefully break this 61 level. So as we keep going here, you'll see that it's just kind of bouncing around, and it maintains that 62 level really strong, and then it'll push up to 67, 68, 70, but it wouldn't break up and stop me out. So this stop was just my protection above everything. If it would have ran up and stopped me out, I would have had profit because my average price was 75, and I believe I put my stop right at 72. So I would have made 3 cents profit as a worst case scenario. So this is a good situation being because you're kind of in the driver's seat now. You have profit no matter what happens, and the question mark is how much downside is there? How much short side gain can you make? So I just keep rolling along. And I'll speed it up just a little bit here, but it just bounces back and forth. And it's really, really pretty sluggish. And I held it, and I held it, and I held it. And I think overall I held it until about 12, probably 12:30 in the afternoon. So I'm going to speed it up just a little bit more. And you can see it just bouncing around. And it kept threatening the stop, that it was going to break my stop and stop me out of the trade, but then it would pull right back. So I was convinced that we were going to see a break of this level, because you can see here in a second, it'll push back down again. It just keeps threatening that low level to break. But it never did. So ultimately at the end of this trade, it pushed down a little more. and I went ahead and covered my position and took profit on this name. Whoa. So right here, push back down, and then I'm going to go ahead and jump out of the trade. There we go. So pushes down to 66, 65. And I think at this point I'm just deciding I'm going to get out. Just going to see if it can maybe get to 64, 63. It's not going to break 61. Kind of a bummer, but I held it. Just went ahead and held, canceled my stop, and then I went ahead and set a buy order right there at 64. And it broke it. And there's my profit, $72.81. Great trade. Took an okay entry with my first 250 shares, but the beautiful thing was I had pre-planned that if it pushed up a little higher into the EMA and into the overhead support, I would go ahead and add to my position and then watch it roll over and go lower, which it ultimately did. So a really good trade on MU. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video today. So a loser, a winner. Let me know, comment, let me know what you guys traded today, and talk to me about what you think about my sell half strategy and let the rest ride. Let me know if any of you are doing that, and let me know how successful that's been for you. And if you've been stuck holding the bag before and not stopped out when you should have, again, comment, let me know. Let's kind of talk about it. I just need to get better. I need to sharpen my skill with cutting losses sooner. Like I said earlier, the quote that is really resonating with me is that new traders, hold their winners too short. They cut their winners too short, and they hold their losers too long. So here's to cutting losses, and hope you have a great night. We'll see you in the morning, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you think I deserve it, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.